Gabby Ryan. I'm the Director of Student Affairs. I'm also a graduate of the law school. I am very proud and honored to be standing here among some of our students and to give you the opportunity to hear from them, as I think that putting a face with everything that you've heard about the law school so far, that you may have read about in print or on the web, will hopefully really help you make this decision. You are in a very unique situation where you get to pick a law school. The law schools are pretty much done picking you, and you now have you're in the privileged situation where you get to pick one of us. And I realize that that is a very difficult situation to be in also, and that you must have a million questions. So the purpose of this panel is to help you hear from students who have survived the experience and who are happy with the decision they have made, and who can talk to you about why they chose USC and what their experience has been like. I can tell you, because I am a student, that what they're about to say is true and heartfelt. What makes this law school very different from others, I think, is the quality of the people here. What I can tell you from my experience here, from working here with this group of students and from being here as a student, is that although law school is very, very difficult, it doesn't have to be hard. And academically, it can be difficult, but the experience itself should be easy. It should be a place where you feel supported and where you feel like you make friends and colleagues, and this is definitely one of those places. So I'd like to introduce to you our speakers who will represent the student body today, and then they will speak for a few minutes, and then we'll open the panel up for questions at the end. And we'll start to my left. The first person I'd like to introduce is Mark Berman. Did my mic go off? He is a graduate of Georgetown University. He's a second-year student. He has a BA in political science from Georgetown, and before coming to law school, Mark was very involved in political campaigning. He worked for the Democratic Party as a field organizer and director in Kentucky and South Dakota, and was working as a regional field director for Senator Tom Daschle's re-election campaign in 2004. He has brought his passion for politics here to the law school, and he has been very active in our own student government. He served as a first-year representative as a first year. He was vice president of the Student Bar Association this year, and he is now president-elect of the Student Bar Association for the next academic year. He's a member of the prestigious Southern California Law Review, and this summer he will be a summer associate with the law firm of Latham & Watkins in Palo Alto, California. Next, you will hear from Ruby Mejia. She's a graduate of UCLA. She's a successful student and has earned high honors and honors grades in a number of classes, but she's also dedicated a lot of her time to student organizations. She has served as the academic chair for La Raza and as the community service chair for the Law Students for Choice. At the end of her first year of law school, Ruby earned a coveted Public Interest Law Foundation grant to support her work at the Los Angeles County Public Defender's Office. This coming summer, she'll be working at Public Counsel with the Children's Rights Project, specifically dealing with education issues. To my right, you'll hear from some of our graduating students. First, you will hear from Johari Towns. She's a third-year student. She has a BA in economics from Wellesley College. While at USC, she's been actively participating in a lot of student organizations and honors programs. She was the chair of the Hale Moot Court Honors Program this year, and she was the runner-up as a participant in the honors program as a second year. She's also very involved in BALSA and PILF. She was the development chair for PILF, which is the Public Interest Law Foundation, and the academic coordinator for BALSA, which is the Black Law Students Association. As an entering student, she received one of the coveted summer fellowships, and so she spent her first year, working at a local entertainment law firm. Just last week, she was awarded a prestigious Mason C. Brown Award for her excellence in trial advocacy and public service, and she will work at Sidley Austin upon graduation. And last but not least, you will hear from somebody with one more experience than everybody else. He's a fourth-year student because he has been earning a dual degree here at USC. He's earning both his JD, and he's also earning his master's in public policy from the USC School of Policy Planning and Development. He earned his undergraduate degree from UC Santa Cruz. He has been an active member of the student body here at USC also, where he has served as co-chair for La Raza, and he has spent a lot of time out in the field doing a lot of interesting work. He has has been a summer clerk for the California Court of Appeal. He's worked as a campaign coordinator for the office of LA Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, and he's worked at a local labor law firm. He too was honored recently as one of the recipients of our Shattuck Awards. Shattuck Awards are given to students who have demonstrated the greatest potential for becoming outstanding members of the bar and whose actions have improved the quality of USC Law School. So it is my pleasure to introduce all of these students to you. They are truly one of the finest parts of the law school, and without further ado, I'll just leave the mic to Mark Berman.
So how many of you came out here from the Northeast or from outside of California? Great. If you guys could do me a huge favor and take the weather back with you when you leave, that'd be great. The summer before my senior year in high school, I got a job selling knives door to door. It was Cutco Cutlery. And as many of you guys heard, after I graduated from college, I spent 3 years essentially selling Democratic politicians to Republican voters in South Dakota, Kentucky, and Louisiana. So I can honestly say that with a straight face that my role here today, which is essentially to try to sell USC Law School to you guys, is one of the easiest jobs that I've ever been asked to do. When I was trying to figure out what to talk to you all about, I tried to take myself back 2 years ago when I was sitting in the exact same seats that you guys are sitting in and trying to determine which law school to go to and why. And one of the big influences in my decision was a good friend of mine who had graduated from SC Law in 2004, and who honestly, who said to me always with a straight face and over again that he really had a good time at USC Law School. So think about that for a second, having fun in law school. I know that when I was in your place, having fun was probably the last thing on my mind. I was worried about the Socratic method. I was worried about arcane legal rules, new jargon, intimidating professors, overly competitive students, losing even more of my eyesight than I already had. And I'm here to tell you today, 2 years later, that I've had an absolutely phenomenal time at SC. I've had my share of the Socratic method and of arcane legal rules and new jargon, but I haven't had any intimidating professors. If anything, they've been intimidating due to their brilliance, which I say that honestly, but they impart that on us in an incredibly gentle way. I don't know, I'm not used to speaking into a microphone. But the students, one of the biggest things is that the students are not overly competitive, and the students are here we're all kind of in the same boat together, and we're all going to struggle together, and we're all going to thrive together, and I think that's one of the best things about this school. I also haven't gone totally blind yet, although I'm working on it. So when I try to make a speech to talk to you guys today, I started to list all the things that I loved about SC, and then I started to expand upon all the things that I loved about SC, and I ended up with a 5-page speech that would have taken about half an hour and not given any time to anybody else to tell you about their experiences. So what I have is kind of a laundry list of the things that have made my experience at SC so amazing. The first and foremost thing is all of us up here on this panel. Our fellow students are really what makes this experience so awesome in this school, so friendly. And hopefully if you all enroll next year, you're going to be a part of that. There's also Gabby Ryan and the rest of the administration, a lot of them standing intimidatingly in the back, who are, any problem that we have, I've got to say, one of the great things about SC is how small it is, how small the student body is, and we're trying to make it even smaller, but the administration that we have for such a small student body is absolutely immense. And any problem that you have, any concern that you have, there's always 1, 2, 5 different administrators that you can talk to that'll help you out or point you in the right direction to solve whatever you need to solve. The professors, who I mentioned before, some of whom have been here for over 30 years, some of you have been here for less than 1, are amazing, and they're often happy to talk to you about anything that you want to talk about after class in their office hours. More often than not, they're going to talk to you for far longer than you actually intended on talking to them for, which is great. Serving on SBA, which is something that I've done pretty much since the entire time I've been here. I think I ran for 1L rep the first month I was here. And essentially what that means is that I'm here for all of you guys. And as my 1L rep, I was here for the 70 students in my section, and as SBA Vice President this year, here for everybody, and next year also as SBA President. Any concerns, any questions, any problems that you guys have, whether it's literally the size of the trash cans in the classrooms to, the final schedule. I've heard all those complaints and gone to the administration and tried to get things fixed that kids have problems with. Something that I already mentioned, which is going to school with around 200 students per class, and next year the goal is to get it under 200, really means that you can literally know every person in your class, and as you're here for longer, get to know every student in the school, which is, this is going to sound corny, and I actually didn't think of this until just now, but it really reminds me of Cheers. You walk into a bar where everybody knows your name, and you don't get that at a lot of other law schools where the classes are a little bit bigger, and it's corny, but I like it. I mean, it makes it more fun to get up and come to 8 a.m. contracts or con law class. Interacting with the approximately 100 LLM students that we have here. Those are students from abroad, from overseas, who are here to, I don't know why they're here. I'm sure it's to study the law. But I love interacting with them in social atmospheres and just talking to them and getting to know them on a personal level has been a lot of fun. Being on a journal, really any journal, or on Moot Court, which I think I might have, in hindsight, wish I'd done. And spending countless hours in the journal office, which is on the 3rd floor, commiserating with my peers while poring over faculty articles with a microscope, trying to determine if a period is italicized, or how to cite an appellate court case from Israel, it's sometimes a miserable experience, but when you look back on it, it's a lot of fun. And it's just the camaraderie of spending that much time with peers your own age, or a little bit older than you, or a little bit younger than you, and the memories and experiences that come with that. Working with faculty and student advisors when you're writing your note on a journal, which is a 40 to 60 page academic paper. Going through that whole 3 or 4 month process of starting with an idea and taking it to your faculty advisor, and them telling you you're crazy and that you need to narrow it down because you're going to end up writing 400 pages, and ending up with a finished product is truly a remarkably rewarding experience. Going to Manual Arts High School, which is a high school just a couple blocks away from here, which to teach high school students about the law and different legal issues that pertain to them, and trying to get them motivated and encouraged to both go to undergraduate, go to college or university, and then maybe even pursue a career in the law. Tailgating with all of my friends before the USC football games, and then going and watching the Trojans crush whoever we might happen to be playing that day. And next year, walking across the street to the Galen Center, where we're going to get to watch the #1 recruit in the country, O.J. Mayo, play for the USC basketball team, is going to be great. Something that might make me unique to the panel up here is that I live in Santa Monica, which is about 12 miles west, right by the beach. But living in Santa Monica and playing volleyball with my friends on a random Saturday in February is something that, on the beach, is something that I think is pretty unique to LA and Southern California. And then, randomly ending up at a tiny bar on Fairfax with Benicio del Toro, Lindsay Lohan, and one of the Olsen twins. They're tiny. They're so small. I was worried my friend was going to crush one of them. It's something that you can't really get anywhere else. And so that's just a whole laundry list of things that, and I'm now being told by Gabby to wrap it up. But I'm going to be here all day with you guys. So not here, but here. So any questions that you guys have, I know I couldn't go into much depth about any of those things, but I've really had an awesome time here. Law school has been a lot of fun. It's been, tough. It's been academically challenging, which is what I needed after spending 3 years in South Dakota and Kentucky. I hope none of you are from South Dakota and Kentucky. Yeah, all right. Thanks.
Thanks. We had to cut him off when I heard Olsen twins and how small they are. We'll now hear from Ruby Mejia.
First of all, I have to apologize. I'm really sick. I've been sick for a week, and it sucks because I have my first final next Friday, and it's evidence, and it's like the hardest class you'll ever take, apparently, in law school. So I'm really looking forward to that. Anyway, my name's Ruby. I'm currently a 2L. I was asked to speak to you guys about the reasons for why I decided to attend law school and why it is that I'm so happy here. I decided to attend law school because I was born and raised in LA, specifically Pico Union, which is really close to K-Town downtown. It's just a really low socioeconomic, predominantly Latino neighborhood. I'm very much against the three strikes law in California, the legislature, especially when it comes to criminal law and capital punishment, which I'm completely against. And so that's one of the reasons why I decided to come to law school and hopefully pursue, and definitely pursue, a career as a criminal defense attorney, and make my difference in that area of law, hopefully. When I came to law school as a first year, I was very excited, but also very nervous. And the minute I walked into class, I was actually, in my torts class, I was the first person to get picked on by Professor Bice. He's one of the best professors we have here. And he opens those pictures that they tell you to send in the best. When you apply to USC and you accept, the offer, and you say you're going to come here, they ask you to send in a passport picture, right? Don't send in passport pictures. Seriously, go to Glamour Shots, go do something, but just look good, because that picture is going to be on the web and all the professors are going to get it, and especially Professor Bice, who's an amazing torts professor that probably a lot of you guys are going to have come here. He cuts out those pictures, right? And he has a seating chart, and he, according to the seating chart, he puts your face on his little thing, and he knows you, and he calls on you randomly. And I was the first person to get picked on in class, and it sucked. So I was really nervous, and that scared me. And it was a great experience. First year is really intense, and you're gonna have the same experience any law school you go to. Really, your notes is gonna be buried in books. You're going to be panicking before finals, and that's just the way it's going to be. You're going to feel miserable, and I felt miserable my first year, because I was like, it's all you do is study. Your life is seriously consumed by law school, but that's not just going to be here at USC. It's going to be wherever you go. It's going to be like that. So don't say that, it's just because it's USC. No, it's every law school. And that's why what makes the difference, I think, when it comes to your experience as a student here at whatever law school you go to, are the people here and the administration, I believe. And USC does a great job in admitting really exceptional students who are very supportive of each other. And the administration here kicks ass. Seriously, when you walk out of your first semester finals, the career services office is out there giving you food after your last final, and they give you a personalized binder of okay, these are all of our alumni that have graduated from here, where they've worked, who they contacted, the person they contacted at that office to get that job. Here, go, sample resume, sample cover letter. It's ridiculous, and it has your name on it, and it's really nice, and you're not going to get that anywhere else, and you're just not. And they just really help you, and they almost baby you, it seems like. I had my job at the public defender's office beginning of January. I didn't worry for the rest of the semester. My second semester, I was done, and most of my friends were in the same situation as me. We secured our jobs for the summer, the very, very beginning of spring semester, and so we didn't really have to worry about anything except finals towards the end of the semester, which is a really big deal. And you have a chance as a first year to become involved in PILF, which is one of the things that I did. When you're here and your nose is stuck in books, a lot of us come to law school because we're very ideological, right? We're idealists. We're we're going to change the world. We're going to do this. We're going to whatever, right? And it becomes you lose focus of that when all you do is read cases, Justice O'Connor has become my best friend. I know everything is, it becomes very hard. You lose focus, but PILF clinics are the one way that a lot of the first year students can become involved. They have domestic violence clinics that are ran through the Superior Court. There's neighborhood legal services that does labor law, and they make sure that people get paid accurate wages. You do there's working with the garment workers in downtown. There's public council where you work with there's a homelessness clinic. There's a teen legal clinic. I mean, there's a variety of things that you guys can get involved in. And the more pro bono hours you accumulate, the better, especially if you are going to be working public interest during that summer. You're most likely not going to get paid with public interest. They can't afford to pay you. And PILF, we have the strongest public interest law foundation in the nation on this campus. Like just this year alone, I believe, we did over 4,000 pro bono hours just this school year alone, and that was just students. And they give out summer grants, so those pro bono hours go towards your summer grants. And for the first years, it's for a $4,500 grant for a 10-week internship during the summer, and for 2Ls, it's $6,500. And they're very, very supportive of that type of work. My second year, once again, very supportive of I felt very supportive by the administration. Three of us from La Raza, which is the Latino Law Student Association here, got funded by the Office of Public Service and by the Dean's Office to go to the National Latina Law Student Conference in Seattle, Washington. We're there for 4 days, and it was just really fun. And if you pitch something to the university, and they believe that it's beneficial to you, they really find a way to back you up. You know, like here, really, students do come first. You're not a number. And I mean, I went to UCLA for undergrad, and I love UCLA. It's my heart. It's my alma mater. I cheer for them in football, even though we've been losing forever, but we won this year. So, but it's just I was actually when I was making my decision, I was deciding between UCLA and here because I wanted to stay in LA, but I'm really glad I came here, especially now that I talked to my friends that are at UCLA, especially being a woman of color, person of color. It's a different experience. Sometimes it can be an isolating experience almost because you are one of very few, but here you won't be. And here the administration makes sure that you receive all the services that you need, and they just treat you are a part of their family. And my friends at UCLA unfortunately have not had that experience, especially during the moot court competition this year, right? All of you guys know what moot court is, right? It's an oral advocacy honors program. 2Ls are the ones who participate in that program, and you have to write a brief for the moot courts competition, right? And at UCLA, the fact pattern that they had to write their brief on played on very negative stereotypes of Mexican illegal immigrants. Like, he's a child molester, he's from the state of Patron, he's lazy, and just all these, and it's in a national competition, okay, mind you. You're gonna go before judges and really compete and, give them your arguments on this fact pattern. And students of color had to pretty much write a brief on this very racist fact pattern, and the dean didn't really do anything until the student orgs at UCLA made sure to bring up the subject, and then he was like, oh, well, there was no intent, so I guess it's okay, but he did apologize somewhat. But here, that wouldn't fly. Like, here, it just wouldn't fly. USC's just very, very devoted to its students. And when it comes to the Trojan family, it's kind of scary. It's kind of like a cult. It's actually kind of scary. But it does exist. And I mean, although I am a former Bruin, they very much embraced me. And I am glad. And it's just a great part, and just a great thing to be a member of, really, because wherever you go, you show them your resume, you talk to them about USC, they embrace you immediately. You don't understand how many people get job offers simply because they say, I am a member of the USC Law family, and so I'm a part of the Trojan family, and it's ridiculous. So anyway, I think that you guys should all come to USC. It's a great institution, and they didn't pay me to say this, so.
Thanks, Ruby. After all that about UCLA, I just feel obligated to say that they did beat us in football. I don't know. I mean, I think Ruby speaks the truth. The only part I think that you missed is that the sandwiches and all that after finals actually come from my office, not from the career services office. But next, it's a thankless job. Johari Towns will be speaking to you next.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to try to keep this kind of short because I know how unexciting it is to sit and listen to people talk for an hour or so. First of all, I'd like to echo Mark's comments. Celebrities are really small. It's the first thing you'll learn when you move to LA. I saw Drew Barrymore, who you would think was not that small. She's like this big. It's really kind of freakish. So that's one of the exciting things you have to look forward to if you decide to come to law school in LA. I want to tell two stories that I think are kind of symbolic of my experience here, and then I'll talk a little bit about my involvement in organizations here, and then I will give you a reprieve and stop talking. My first semester here, about a month into the semester, I had an unfortunate computer-related incident which resulted in me losing all of my notes from the first month of school. So you can imagine as a stressed-out law student how that felt like my life was over. And before I could even fully appreciate how much I should be freaking out about it, I started getting notes from my classmates. People, without me even asking them, started emailing me all their notes from the semester. One girl brought a CD to class the next day with all of her notes for all of our classes burned onto it for me. So in the midst of what could have been this horrible crisis, I just felt so supported and so happy to realize that I had such good people around me. And I can honestly say I don't think that would have happened at a lot of other law schools. I think people here are very competitive in that everyone wants to do well and everyone's trying to succeed here, but they're not competitive with each other. And that, for me, has made law school a really positive experience. And that fact alone makes me so glad that I chose USC. The second story is last semester I had some kind of personal things come up during finals, and went to Gabby Ryan actually crying, like, oh my God, I can't take my finals, what am I going to do? And she just immediately solved everything. And I got through finals just fine, and everything was fine, and I realized life wasn't ending. And that has been really characteristic of my experience here. The staff and the administration and the faculty are so supportive. It's just really kind of remarkable to me how easy they make everything here. So I also want to talk a little bit about the activities that I've been involved in, because I think that's the other thing, aside from the people, that's made my experience here really special. I also was really involved in the Public Interest Law Foundation, and I was involved both as a volunteer through the clinics there and also on the board for 2 years of the organization. And I can say that it's probably the most important thing I've done in law school. Ruby is right that you get a little bit disenchanted about halfway through your first semester when you've just been learning about contracts and torts and you don't really remember why you came and see how this is going to apply to anything you will ever do in your life. And sort of reaching out, I volunteered with families that were in the process of trying to establish legal guardianship for children. And it was sort of amazing. These families had these small children that they were basically in the long-term process of adopting, and I got to be the one that helped them complete the process. And I volunteered in something called Adoption Day, which is where they get like 100 people who are being adopted all together in the same courthouse on the same day, and they throw a big party for all these kids. And I just cried the whole way through the whole thing because it was so amazing. But it's little moments like that that kind of keep you grounded and remind you why you're here. Even if public interest isn't why you came or what you want to do ultimately, it's just those things that kind of help get you through what could otherwise be a really stressful time. I also was involved as a second year in the Moot Court Honors Program, which people have also mentioned a little bit, which I highly recommend to anybody, whether you go here or somewhere else, to get involved with the Moot Court Program. It's your one chance in law school to do something kind of like real life work. You argue before a fake Supreme Court, some constitutional law issue, and as you progress, you end up arguing in front of pretty amazing judges. I argued in front of, in the final round, a person who was nominated for the Supreme Court but didn't make it because of some drug-related issues in his past. But he serves on a circuit court as the Chief Justice, and it's just sort of amazing that you get that opportunity. And I've had people in my life since comment on the poise or the speaking ability that I have in front of a judge, and that's just an amazing skill to have gotten while I was here. And I think moot court also really instills in you a confidence and a purpose that you don't get in other programs. By the end of my first year, I really liked law school, actually, and I was really happy I came, but I also kind of felt like, now what? So I got through first year, and I did okay, and my grades are good, and I still don't know what I want to do with my life. And so participating in activities like that, I think, kind of helps you get a little bit more focused. I'm sure a lot of you are coming into law school without a really clear idea of what kind of law you want to practice or what you want to do, which is fine. That was the thing I think I was really afraid of when I started, what it all was going to mean or where it was all going to go, and you kind of figure it out along the way. And I think the opportunities here and the faculty and staff here really help make that possible. I guess I'll just talk a little bit about my BALSA experience, and then I'll sit down. I was also pretty active in the Black Law Students Association here, and I think all of the cultural organizations here are pretty active, which is great. And even if you're not a member of them, you sort of benefit from this when they make lunch. Like, we sell soul food once a semester, which is a very popular event for everybody across races. And La Raza does a similar event sale. And I think it's just, there's a great community here. There's a lot of different kind of people at this school, and we all seem to get along very well, remarkably. And I think are very supportive of each other. And so I think regardless of what your racial background is or your just background in general, you'll come here and sort of be part of this just really diverse, dynamic community, which is, I think, very exciting. So I think that's it, and I'll be here for questions. Thanks.
And last but not least, we will hear from Miguel Espinosa.
Well, first, let me start just by congratulating you. This is a very big deal to have been accepted to a law school like USC, so congratulations. I know you've been sitting here for at least an hour and a half now this morning, so I'll also try to keep my comments brief. Ruby and Mark talked a lot about the Socratic method, and I'm looking out at this crowd right now and remembering back. I'm a fourth year, so I've been here a bit longer, and it seems a lot longer than 4 years, too, but I can remember being a first-year student, and the Socratic method is a very real thing. Some of you may have bought into some of this by reading The Paper Chase or watching the movie. If you haven't yet, I would suggest not doing it. Ruby talked about Professor Bice and the cards that he makes out, and I'll tell you, Bice is like a dealer in Vegas, shuffling those cards, calling on people left and right. He actually called on me a few times early in the semester. I can't believe he called on Ruby the first time. That's tough. And he actually stopped calling on me eventually because the answers that I gave were so miserable. So that's true. I'm not making that up. So if you want to get out of being called on by somebody who takes the Socratic method very seriously, like Professor Bice, one way to do that is by giving very poor answers. I didn't mean to. I was trying my best. Another professor, Professor Talley, taught a class in this room. This is the largest room in the law school, and unlike the room now, when Professor Talley was teaching it, there were no empty seats. It was full, and this was first semester, and Ruby talked about getting those glamour shots made. Definitely get the glamour shots made, because this is the stunt that Talley pulled. He had a screen come down, and you knew it was your turn to talk when your glamour shot came up on the screen, okay? And I had a terrible picture, too. So I studied all semester. I read every footnote. I took it so seriously. I was terrified. Unlike the other students up here, I'm not a model student. I didn't get great grades. I didn't do the honors program. I did other things that I'm going to talk about that I think contributed to the law school significantly. But I read everything, and we went through the whole semester. I came in terrified. I think I have ulcers from the experience. He never called on me. Can you believe that? I never got called on. So I was terrified. Get the glamour shots made. Socratic method is something you have to deal with at every law school, so you'll be fine, and you're all serious because you got in here, so you'll study hard. I am a fourth-year student, and I'm hoping not to become a fifth-year student. There's one test between me and graduation, and it's a remedies test, and I haven't been going to the class like I should have, but Judge Siegel has promised me that if I put together something that's worth reading, I'll graduate. So like I said, I'm not like the other students up here in that I didn't do the honors programs. I didn't do moot court. I think they're excellent programs, and if you have an opportunity to do them, definitely do them. One thing that they don't really make clear when you come into law school is that it's competitive. You have to compete with other students to be a part of the moot court program and to be on the journal. So you may come in thinking that you'll be in the top 10%, and I didn't think the top 10, but I thought maybe the top 20, and it didn't happen like that for me. So I came out of my first year sort of looking around and trying to figure out how I could make the best use of my time at USC. And as Gabby mentioned in the introduction, I did some work before I came to law school. I took a few years off. I had worked as a deputy policy director for then City Council member Antonio Villaraigosa, and I had done some work back in Washington, D.C. as a journalist out of the White House. So I had some professional experiences. So I was a very serious student, and I really wanted to make the most of it. So I was elected as co-chair of our Latino Law Students Organization, and I'm going to talk just real quickly about a few of the programs that I put together. And I'm going to talk about them because I don't think that they're extraordinary. I think that they're fairly typical of the type of programming that you can put together if you come to the school and you decide that you want to use USC and the resources here as a platform to put programs together that are specifically tailored towards your interests and how you think you want to give back to the community. So when I came here and I was elected as co-chair of the Latino Law Students Association, we were down at Manual Arts High School working with a teen court program. Street Law does a program at Manual Arts High School. For those of you that aren't from the area or that are and don't know a lot about this neighborhood, very, very poor neighborhood. Manual Arts High School is very, very close to USC. Very few of those students have ever been to this campus. Even fewer of them actually attend. Most of those students don't graduate. It's in LAUSD, it's been getting a lot of press, dropout rate of 50% plus. This is a school that's been hit very hard. So USC gets students in there, and one of the programs is Street Law, another is Teen Court. It's a juvenile diversion program for youths that have been arrested. And it's an alternative to the juvenile justice system. It's a really cool program. The youths that have been convicted of a crime are brought to teen court at Manual Arts High School or USC, we hold it here, and they actually sit before a jury of their peers. And it's a great opportunity to engage students that are at Manual Arts High School, and it's really giving them a chance to see that there are alternatives to what they're so used to seeing. So, seeing that program at Manual Arts High School, we started working with the Superior Court and the law firm of O'Melveny and Myers, and we began to work students here officially into that program there. And now once a semester the program comes here, it was here this week, just a wonderful program. To have the students here on a campus that's so close, but in many ways so far, far away from them as a reality, to have them here on campus is just, it means so much. So that's a program that's now in its third, fourth year of existence, and you can be involved in a program like that, right? If you see a community that you want to be involved in, this one's close. We did, and we brought Teen Court to campus. I also realized that, I wasn't doing moot court, I wasn't doing an honors journal, but I was very active, and I really wanted to try to flex some of these networking muscles that everybody is promising that you'll get when you come to USC. So I started working with the local judicial community, and we put together a judicial mentorship program working with Superior Court judges, federal court judges, and appellate court judges to serve as mentors to students at USC. So recognizing that students at Manual Arts High School have issues, well, a lot of students come to USC as law students and they've never met a lawyer, let alone a judge, and we realized that we have this great network of judges. So we have judges that are now serving as mentors to USC law students, and it's been great for the students that have been the mentees because they're immediately plugged into the judicial community. We have close to 30 judges participating in the program. But it was also great for me because I established connections with many, many bench officers that are right downtown. Another great thing about USC is that physically it's very close to downtown. That's where the judges are, that's where the politicians are, that's where a lot of the major law firms are. So we were able to help the students here, and then also the students that were putting the program together really started establishing some of those strong, strong connections. And then lastly, recognizing that USC is a very, very expensive place to go to school before they give you money, which they do, and USC is very good about making this a reality financially, that it is expensive. So we looked around and we saw some of our students really struggling to pay tuition, and we, recognized that there's a lot of money out there. So we approached the law school, and the law school, like the law school is always willing to do, was willing to help on this project. And we approached the Mexican American Alumni Association here on campus. They were ready to help, but we needed to do the work. So they said, yeah, sure, we'll help you. We'll put the money you earn into an endowment. We'll establish a scholarship. It'll be $3,000 given every year to a student that's dedicated to the community, but you need to raise the money. So it took us 2.5 years. They said it would take 5, but it took 2.5. And we got out there and we started hustling for money. And we raised $25,000. And in doing so, we helped the students with the scholarship, but we also established connections with USC's alumni, and the donor community is really incredible. And that can impact you in so many different ways. I established connections that may help me one day get a job. Just another example. So you'll come here and you'll get through your first year. You're going to be very busy. You're going to take our advice and you're going to get a very nice picture of yourself taken so that if it ever happens to flash up on a board like this, you'll be looking good there, even if you're not looking good in your seat giving the answer, because that's a possibility too. And you'll really be able to think hard about what you want to do when you come to USC, if you do decide to come here. And when you're thinking about making your decision, just remember that I haven't been to any other law schools. I've been here my entire time. I'm not a transfer student, so I can't say for sure, but my sense is that USC goes above and beyond what other law schools typically do to make these resources available to their students, so that if you have an idea, if you decide you want to become involved with the judicial community or with the hotshot lawyers at O'Melveny and Myers or with the students at Manual Arts that are facing significant obstacles, you'll be able to do it. And that's something that USC certainly has promised me and come through on, and I know that they're making the same promise to you. So if you do have any questions about the dual degree program, I'm here. I'm also involved in that, and I didn't touch on that. I'm at the public policy school, which in a lot of ways has been a nice refuge from law school. I go and hide out there where the professors are very encouraging. There's no Socratic method. So if you're thinking about that to take the edge off of law school, I'll be here and we can talk.
Miguel, I can't believe you wouldn't call that being a model student. He was asking me outside if we were going to take his Shattuck Award away, realizing we'd made a mistake giving it to him, but I think you'll agree from his stories that he's very deserving. So thank you to all of us. I'd like to open it up for questions, and we'll just have an open panel. We have about 20 minutes for questions. So this is your chance to talk to the students and not the faculty and hopefully get straight answers. So anybody have any questions? Okay. Yes.
I guess I can take that. So when you enroll at SC, they're going to break you up. I think it's into 12 different sections. And so when I was a 1L, there were 18 students per section. It'll probably be 16, 17, 18 for you guys as well. And you take those 18 students are the students that you have legal research and writing with, just those 18 students. And that's a 2-credit course. And then you also have 4 bigger courses. I believe 3 of those courses are with 4 sections apiece. So it's about 70 students, and that's contracts, torts, and CivPro. Thank you. And then one other's, wasn't CivPro? No, contracts, torts, and LLNE. And then CivPro you're going to have with 6 sections, or at least that's the way we did it. And so that class was with about 100 students, about half the class. So that's how they break up the sections, and the sections are by letter, so it's A through L. And then second year, it's set course as well. You don't get a chance for an elective until your second year at the law school. In second year, you have property, legal profession,
Criminal law,
con law. There we go.
You forget after you've survived it. It's like amnesia.
Yeah, right after you take the final, because you have to move on to the next final. And then the finals also are set up in a schedule where you have a final and then either 2 or 3 days off and then another final. So the administration really sets it up your entire first year so that it's as accommodating as possible for you to get the time you need to study for finals, which there's never enough time to study for finals, but it'll be enough. Hopefully that answered that question.
After the first year, though, the first year curriculum is set. After the first year, bar classes are recommended, and we offer every bar class really that you'll need to pass the California bar and other state bars. But you have a series of electives that you can take. there are no really required classes per se, second and third year. You'll have some graduation requirements, like a writing requirement, which can be fulfilled in different ways, and you'll have a skills course requirement, which can be fulfilled in different ways. But the second and third year, you can really make your own, which is great. Any other questions? Yes?
In terms of different, can you guys describe what you did for housing your first year and any tips that you give?
I moved to LA about a year before I started law school, so I was already living in the Miracle Mile area, which is about 15 minutes northwest of here. And actually, a lot of law students live in that area. There's this huge monstrosity called Park La Brea, which looks like, I don't know, a really huge dorm on a really big college campus, but uglier. But the apartments are actually nice, and I'd say like half of our class lives in that huge complex. I guess for first year, I would say it probably is good not to live super far away from campus. There were some people that lived on the west side or on the beach, in the beach communities, and they were happy with that. But it is a little bit more of a commute. You're probably looking at a 30-minute commute. And so, yeah, and there's also campus-based housing, which a lot of first-year students, if you're not in LA already and you're moving from an area and you don't really know the area well, I think that's probably a safe bet.
Anybody have another experience they want to share first year?
I lived on the west side. I also moved out here about 6 months before law school, and so I was living in Santa Monica for a job and decided to stay out there. And I think, you know, a lot of students come out to the west side after their first year, once they kind of get to know LA. I mean, I love it out there, but it is a commute. I mean, it's about 30 to 40 minutes in the morning, depending on traffic, and it's much quicker in the afternoon. But I knew a lot of my fellow students lived in Terrace, is what it's called, the on-campus housing, and the camaraderie there was awesome because it's about 40 or 50 of you going through first year literally together, and any time that you have a question, there was someone there to answer it, which I didn't have living with 2 non-law students in Santa Monica. So,
Does that answer your question? Would you like to hear more?
Or is there any way like to find roommates?
don't we have? I think we have a book that goes out, don't we?
The admissions office may help with roommate matches. So that's another alternative. So you can ask the admissions office about that at some point today.
I also know just friends who have moved to LA, not even just for law school, but a lot have found roommates on Craigslist. And there's a couple of websites that have apartment listings just for LA that are really helpful. I think LA is actually a pretty easy place to find an apartment in. I lived in Boston before this, and I felt like it was a harder area to shop around. Here, there's just sort of places everywhere.
I think it is good advice, though, to just keep the commute in mind your first year, because going back to the first question, your first year courses are assigned to you, and there's no flexibility because the sections are created in very specific ways to make them all equal and fair. So you don't have flexibility as far as your schedule first year, and nobody does, and that's pretty much accurate in all law schools because of the same fairness issues that we're concerned with. So the commute might be something to keep in mind when you're looking for a place your first year, but after that, because you create your own schedule, you can have more flexibility. Yes?
You mentioned 40 or 50 people live in that terrace on campus. Is that competitive to get into, or is it a tough time filling it up?
Again, that might be another good question for the admissions office because they handle that, but my sense is that it is a difficult process because there are fewer than 50. I think there may be between 30 and 40 open spots. It's a roommate situation in Terrace, and so it's like an apartment where you have a shared kitchen and a shared bathroom, but it's 2 bedrooms. And for a lot of students who are coming from far away and are intimidated by looking at a place in LA or they don't have time or whatever, they do to try to get into Terrace, so it might be a little tough. So you'll want to make sure you talk to the admissions office about that process if any of you are interested. Yes, sir.
Okay, so we've been hearing all the great things about USC Law, which is awesome, and then just wondering, maybe you can be candid here, is there anything that you don't like about the school, or anything that is bad about the school, that you wish you could change?
It's always freezing.
Yeah.
In here. No, really, like, it's frustrating when it's summer and you have your tank top on or whatever, your cute little dress if you're a girl, you know, and then you come in here and you're freezing, and it's frustrating, but that's just the way it works. Always have a jacket with you, even if it's 100 degrees outside, because you're going to be freezing. And I don't know if it's so that we don't fall asleep in class, but I mean, it's just always cold. So that's one of the things that I don't like.
That was literally going to be my statement.
I get complaints about how cold it is in the building. I think it speaks to a broader issue of we have outgrown this building.
Yeah.
I mean, this building is small, it's old. I think there are efforts to create a new building for the law school, which are really exciting, and you would all hopefully get to witness that and have that be part of your history. But the building is a real issue. It's a real complaint. It's not pretty in here. I mean, look around, you know. At some point, when I was a student, there was artwork on the walls, but apparently we sold that to make some money. So, and there are no windows, and there are all kinds of studies about education in windows, and so the building is, I think, a problem. We're not just, and it is so cold, you'll know.
Yeah.
But anything else in you?
I mean, along the lines of the building, the internet works in the classrooms, but not in the library, which can get a little bit frustrating, the wireless. But I think that's going to be like my first platform as SBA president, is to get the wireless internet fixed. So, one problem that I had earlier this year that all of us students had is we were having a dean search, which is a whole other can of worms. And the university administration wasn't very supportive of student involvement in the dean search. But the USC Law School administration was incredibly supportive. And was just as frustrated by the overall administration's actions as the students were. And so, while that was a problem that I had with the overall school, I was really pleased and impressed with how the law school administration handled that. And I could talk about that for half an hour, so I won't.
One of the truths about as with every experience you're going to have, there are going to be problems. You're going to have personal problems, you're going to have problems with people, you're going to have problems with the facilities. One of the reasons I came back to work here is because I like solving problems. I'm a trained lawyer, and at a law firm, I didn't really solve a lot of problems. I feel like I was creating more than I was solving. But this is a place where you do come with us with your problems, and our job is to solve that. So I think we could talk about different issues that have come up, but I don't think that any of them really jump out because they've all been addressed. They go away. We make them go away so that you don't focus your energy on that. That's not what you're here to do. That's really our approach. Yes?
This is a question for Johari specifically. You talked about that you worked for an entertainment law firm. And I was just wondering if that's because you're interested in going in entertainment, if that's something that a lot of people do here, if there are specific classes or student organizations that are geared towards that being in LA.
Yeah. I actually am not really interested in entertainment. I ended up at that firm because when I came into USC, I was a fellow, and so I had a job provided for me, guaranteed by the school, and it was with an entertainment firm. I actually really liked working at the firm, and I went back for part of my second summer also, and there are a lot of entertainment opportunities, I think, because we're in LA. But I don't know if I'm qualified to get into too much about what they are. There are, the Entertainment Law Society, I think it's called, is very active. They always have very popular lunchtime meetings, and you can't schedule anything opposite them because no one will come to your event because everyone's at the entertainment law event. So, I mean, I definitely think a lot of people here come with that in mind and find opportunities, and there are some entertainment law courses, I think a couple that you can take here, but I haven't actually been part of that route.
We have a lot of powerful alumni in the entertainment business who are adjuncts here, and they come and they serve as guest speakers also. They, are honest about the fact that the entertainment business and the legal entertainment business is hard to get into in general. And so they're very good mentors in that way, but it's not an industry where you just kind of jump into. So it is good to have those alumni in our family because they can steer us in the right direction. And we do offer a lot of entertainment law classes, sports law also, and taught by the sports law class by an amazing alum who he represents Tom Brady, and he's just really big time. So it's great to have those kind of people. Since we are in LA and we're connected in that way, we have them taught by people who are really in the middle of it all. Yes, in the green in the back.
What's the biggest adjustment you had to make when you came to USC?
like to field that one. The hardest thing for me, and this is, I think, the single best advice that we can give to people coming in, is that the first semester of law school makes you doubt everything about yourself. I think that's true wherever you go. It's just, you're learning a new way to think, and you're taking tests that are different than anything you've taken before, and it's really easy to lose faith in your own, the way that you normally go about things. And I think what I learned by the end of my first year was that I should have trusted the way that I approached things all along. So the way that I used to study was the same way that I should have been studying all along. And having faith in myself, the way that I used to before a test, was the same way I should have approached a test here. But you come in and you hear everybody talking about how they study, or, did you get so-and-so's outline from 2 years ago, or, there's this point, I'm a very last-minute kind of person, and I actually work much better under pressure. And now I just sort of trust and accept that, and I work under pressure. But first year, 2 weeks into class, people started talking about how they were outlining, and I was like, I don't even know what an outline is. What are you talking about? It was so overwhelming to me, and it really makes you start to doubt yourself and to question to doubt your own confidence. And so I would say the best advice, or the best thing to come in, is knowing that what you've done to get yourself this far is also going to work for you for the next 3 years, and not to listen to all the chatter of everybody else around you. People aren't doing it because they want to unnerve you. They're doing it because they're stressed out and worried. But all that chatter starts to get into your head, and you start to think you're supposed to study or behave the way other people are. So.
Yes.
What sorts of resources are available to make sure that students are doing well adjusting to law school, and if you don't know how to outline, or if you don't really understand what's expected of you, is there somewhere you can go? Do you have mentors available?
Well, I know the student orgs are very, very active when it comes to their 1Ls or the incoming class. I know La Raza we've organized first semester outlining workshops, final examination workshops, where Balsa actually had professors, law school professors, monitor practice exam for crim law or con law or whatever, every single subject that they were taking, and actually sit down and grade those exams and then give them back to them with feedback and stuff. Those are for everyone, not just Balsa. It's not just Balsa. It's open for everyone, but Balsa's the one who organizes them. And I know that student orgs are also make sure that incoming students, if they do join those orgs, are partnered up with 3Ls and 2Ls who serve as mentors for the entire school year. They hand you over outlines, they hand you over manuals, commercial outlines, and any type of text, books that they have that will help you in those subjects. But the school also does do a really good job, which Gabby Ryan will probably speak about.
The student organizations it's representative of the supportive environment where they take it upon themselves to help the people that are coming up. That's something that hasn't changed since I was a student here, and that will not change because I don't think we would allow it to change. We promote students sharing outlines, sharing notes, and things like that because we want you all to help each other. But having said that, we recognize that you can't just help each other. You need academic help. And so there is an academic support program. The Dean of Students and I meet with students individually. We hold workshops. We have resources. So there is also a structured program. We definitely have that in mind because we know that law school is different and some people will struggle, and we want to be there to help.
You're also set up at the very beginning of the year for academic reasons and for just getting used to LA or life reasons with each one of the sections is set up with 5 or 6 mentors, and I'm assuming we're keeping that program going. So every 16 to 18 students will have 5 or 6 2Ls as 2L mentors that you can bounce questions off of. They'll offer you their suggestions on professors they've had that you've got the same professors for your first year courses. What restaurants to go to, what bars to go to, what gyms to join. I mean, anything. You've got 6 people there that it's their job to help make the transition as easy as possible for you guys. So
I'll take one last question because I've seen your hand up for a while, and I think we have to wrap it up.
I've heard that some law schools are more theory-based and some are more not so theory-based. How do you guys think USC fits in that spectrum, and are you comfortable with that? Would you
I think USC is probably on the more theory-based side. I think we definitely spend a lot of time in most classes talking about kind of the policy implications of the law that we're learning. So we do definitely learn what's called, which I didn't know what this meant before I started law school, but the black letter law, which is like the law, what normal people call the law. So we definitely learn that, but then we spend a lot of time thinking about kind of the political or economic implications of that. So I think there's a fair amount of theoretical learning. But there also, as an upper class person, is an opportunity to take more practical classes if that's kind of what your bent is. So like I'm taking pretrial advocacy this semester, and basically I was given a case at the beginning of the semester, and it's my case to work, and I go through depositions and conferences before judges, and I write motions to the court. So if you want kind of more hands-on type of experience, that's also available in your second and third years.
And I just wanted to say that when it comes to your first year classes, wherever you go, it's going to be theoretical. I mean, it's not really going to be hands-on. And then here we have the really great honor of having 5 clinics, I believe. We have a post-conviction justice project, which is headed by Professor Hempel, and you actually you have clients, like you write habeas writs and habeas petitions, and you go to court, and we have the immigration clinic, we have a child advocacy clinic, we have an intellectual property clinic, and I believe we're gonna start next year with a small business clinic where you actually represent clients, and this is something that you could do your second year or as a 3L, and 2Ls are actually supervised. Some 2Ls are actually chosen supervised. So after your first year, you can apply to be a student supervisor, and you work there for that summer. They actually pay you, they give you a stipend, and then they give you a stipend for the school year for being a student supervisor for those clinics. So I mean, those clinics are a great opportunity, and if you guys come here, you guys should all try to really be involved in those clinics because they're really, really great projects. So
Thank you all. We're going to wrap it up. I want to encourage you to keep asking questions today. You'll have an opportunity to do so. At the lunch, you'll be seated at tables, and there'll be students, some of these students here, but students from our student organizations will be there. And then later on in the afternoon, there'll be a student organizations fair. I believe if it rains, it'll be in this level, which unfortunately, that looks like it's going to be in this level. And all the students there, you can ask questions, not just about their organizations, but about anything. So thank you all very much, and thank you to our panelists, and enjoy the rest of your day.